Hello and welcome to the Sacred Gates here on YouTube. My name is Illura, and today's podcast is connecting to the last podcast that we did where we explored how to train and strengthen your perceptive abilities, how to strengthen your awareness and your psychic abilities, which are all tied in to your perceptions, your perceptive abilities. And in that video, what we were focusing on was the importance of connecting to subtle qualities within your practice, subtle energies that you can feel as you are meditating, as you are practicing, as you are healing, whatever it is that you are practicing with your inner spiritual healing work. And in that video, we touched on the importance of going slower and connecting to lighter, inclining the mind towards lighter qualities, which help us tap into and feel and perceive that which is subtle, the subtle levels and layers of energy that are connected to higher and higher sources of healing. And in this particular video, I'm going to explain how it is that we can actually connect to the more subtle. Because often when we sit down to connect to anything or connect to subtler and subtler layers, what we experience is where we're at in our training. And if we haven't been working on our equanimity, on our neutrality, on managing our emotional bodies, then we're going to find that we're not very equanimous, and it's really, really difficult to connect to subtle levels in our training, in our meditation practice. And without that equanimity, not that we are 100% equanimous all the time, or, it's a progress, we're training ourselves. But if we're not equanimous enough, then we're going to find it really difficult to connect to what is subtle. And so then we have to take a step back and say, okay, is my training focused on creating enough equanimity within my emotional body, within my mental body, such that I can then connect to subtle? Like, what is stopping me? So has this ever happened to you? Just say you are meditating and you're wanting to connect to something more healing, something higher vibration, something that is lighter and more subtle. And you try to connect to the subtle, yet what you find is that you have a lot of crazy monkey mind emotional stuff going on, and you then you kind of start to manipulate yourself so that you can start to either fabricate feelings of subtle and light and all of that kind of stuff, or you find yourself getting stuck in frustration, agitation, and irritation around not being able to connect to the subtle. There's lots of things that can happen like that when we aren't able to move through those denser emotional states, because what's beyond those and what's through those denser emotional states, when we can actually move through them, and it's equanimity that helps us to move through them, is that we do naturally refine to higher and higher levels, more and more subtle levels of our being. But what'll always stop us is all of this emotional stuff coming up and the inability to move through it, to neutralize it. And I don't mean neutralizing through pushing it, suppressing it, repressing it, or fabricating what we know to be or feel to be or believe to be a higher vibration frequency, and then we kind of which is also suppressing it and repressing it. But what I mean is to actually really be with reality as it is, because that is key to developing your equanimity. To be with reality as it is as we develop that, it develops our equanimity, and we find that we're then able, through our equanimity, to actually move through naturally to high levels of subtlety. So once you've developed enough of an ability to be with whatever is arising within you emotionally, mentally, physically, as you train, and that becomes your training, you can then start to focus on your intention, for example, to do whole body breathing, or to connect to your vital energy, or connect to your astral body. And anything you're doing, if you're doing Tai Chi, Qigong, any healing practice, you'll find that the more equanimous you become, the higher and higher your ability will take you. And you'll find it much, much easier to go through those beautiful sacred gates that are very, very subtle, very, very fine, and that you're not doing it in a fabricated way. Because often when we're not equanimous enough, many of us fall into the trap of then kind of forcing and fabricating and faking our way into that which we want. But that's not the same gate as real equanimity, really being with reality as it is. Please keep your eyes peeled, because soon I'm going to be offering a course for beginners, and I'm putting together a program for beginner students, small group beginner students, to help them get through those sacred gates, working from the foundations up, so that eventually you can then move on to higher courses that I would like to offer, that I'm working on now and getting ready to offer you. So please keep your ears tuned to that, because we all need help on our journey. I know I've received a lot of help, a lot of excellent teaching, and I really want to pass on that which I have learned. And so keep your ears tuned for that. And thanks for tuning in today. Bye-bye for now.